stupid.
Well, I didn't make the decision. Apple did.
Apple's fucking stupid. Unless they want to give us money. In which case...
They don't want to give us money.
Fucking stupid. I told you.
What up, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, a full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire series.
Well done.
Stop. I'm not done.
You are done.
As well as it was done, I'm not finished.
I'm Zach.
Oh.
Yeah, bitch.
Dang.
So you can play at that game. This is Nate, by the way, doing your intro this week. Yeah.
And we're reading A Game of Thrones.
Dun, 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 dun. Now we're copyrighted.
Uh-oh.
Shit.
I don't think we are. That wasn't a very good rendition.
Anyway, hope everybody's summer is... Well, it's not started officially yet, right? It's
I
like
don't
the
think
15,
so technically,
14, something
but
like that.
it
But
feels
it's
like
June,
summer.
So, well, it does in Southern California.
Yeah, it's hot here
But
this week.
hope everybody's June is starting off wonderfully.
Mine's doing good.
Sweet.
It's pretty good.
Mine could be better. Barrick's being a punk lately.
I could be better, but I'm doing pretty good overall.
I gotta whip him into shape because
Do you
Barrick's...
beat your dog?
No, I don't. Great. Now I'm that guy.
Now you're
I do
that
not
guy.
beat Barrick
I know
Dog
you
Darian.
don't.
Do you really think
Barrick wouldn't take
I
your
could
shit
beat
anyway.
Barrick
Yeah.
Dog Darian?
He'd fuck your shit up.
But he's getting a little bold, so I gotta work with him.
Yeah, so before we jump into this week's episode, which is Tyrion 4,
Woo!
we are going to...
We got some correspondence that we want to respond to, because that's what you do with correspondence.
What's up, everybody? It's Nate here from Brotherhood Without Manners. I'm just going to sneak in and tell you really quick about this sweet app called Podcoin. If you listen to podcasts at all, especially Brotherhood Without Manners, all you have to do is download this app, download our podcast, put in the code Brotherhood, and you will get 300 coins, and you can spend those coins on all sorts of cool stuff. Gift cards, donating to charity, whatever. So give it a try. Let us know if you like it. We really enjoy using it for our podcast listening. You can get free stuff, so why not take advantage of something you already do? Anyway, back to the episode.
Anyway, so we're going to be reading some emails. We got another email from Gigi, who Gigi had written into us earlier, and she just recently caught up with the podcast, so she said thank you for the shout-out, which we shouting you out again, Gigi. So Nate's Photoshop just popped up on his computer,
Yeah, sorry.
and it interrupted Gigi's email because I couldn't contain my laughter with this crazy chick staring at us.
I know.
Anyway, sorry, Gigi. I'll
Sorry,
continue on.
Gigi.
But she had a lot of stuff to say about the show. And so, Gigi, we just wanted to acknowledge your email. We got it. We definitely have some thoughts based on the wheel that you brought up and,
Yes.
and all that fun stuff. But we'll bring that up and we'll respond more in depth to that during our show wrap-up, which will be coming out shortly here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, hopefully the next couple of
We're
weeks.
still putting that together because it's we plan on trying to cover the whole series.
we're gonna
so.
put out a pretty decent sized episode for you guys.
But
so.
anyway, she did say that she had just listened to Ned 6 and that she would have to induct Stannis. Even knowing where he ends up and the decisions that he makes, it's easy to understand why he's the most serious of the brothers and why he felt his claim to the throne was most valid. I feel his claim to the throne is most valid.
So Stannis was your inductee as well.
Yeah, and she says, imagine having Robert and Renly for family. Big oof. A brother who speaks about his own niece in such a cruel way is clearly not worthy of brotherly love.
So
Gigi absolutely gets Renly
let me tell you,
on the level.
as Stannis in my family,
Oh my God!
because I have Zach Renly here and my other brother Robert, and I'm just Stannis in my way through life here, and Zach is not pleased with this analogy
Brother,
at all.
won't you have a peach? Shut the fuck up while I finish Gigi's email, as you've interrupted it like 4 times now.
All right, I'm sorry.
And she also has an inductee for Cat 5.
Yes.
Which was last week, not last week's, it was the week before, correct? Because we just did Ned 7.
Yeah, so the week before.
The week before, sorry Gigi, we got kind of record these things a little in advance, but she says her inductee for Cat 5 would be Tyrion because, my God, does he put up with a lot of unfair bullshit. And, I mean, hallelujah, can I get an amen for my boy Tyrion, because he absolutely does. And so those are both great inductees, Stannis and Tyrion. We appreciate you writing in. You have a great week, Gigi, and we will respond to the rest of your email on our show wrap-up.
Yeah, but keep getting those inductees to
Yeah,
us.
keep sending us
we love hearing
inductees.
those.
We love your guys' thoughts. I absolutely agree.
Stannis. Similarly, our great listener, Sid, he's been with us since the very beginning. We love talking to him. He shared a Reddit post with us, similar. It's based on the show, a lot of it.
Oh,
and
boy.
So we'll have some comparisons, but we really want to dive heavily into that topic.
It's so interesting.
Yeah,
it is.
It's some stuff that George has said himself about Tyrion and, you know, where he lies on the good-bad spectrum.
It's sort of a what went wrong post with Tyrion. I've read it through about 3 times already, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
So we're gonna bring that up.
So again,
also.
Sid, we wanted to acknowledge that you wrote in. We appreciate it. Thank you. Keep writing into us, and we will really dive into that article you sent us because we both have really enjoyed reading it, but into our show episode, and we'll really get into it, get into the nitty-gritty with you guys, and discuss our thoughts on those.
So coming back to the here and now, this week we're reading Tyrion 4. Which means that last week we read Ned 7.
We did.
Ned had a few interesting conversations in this.
He was pretty upset over the death of Sir Hugh of the Vale and maybe his complicity in it. He was worried about that. Robert had wanted to fight in the melee and kind of opened up to Ned for the first time in a long time, saying that he just really doesn't want to be king, and the only thing that keeps him really ruling is the thought of his horrible son and horrible wife on the throne.
Yeah.
And Ned ends up having some interesting conversations with just a conversation with a mysterious stranger who visits his room, which turns out to be Varys, the master of disguise.
Yeah.
And Varys basically answers that yes, Jon Arryn was murdered, probably with Tears of Lys. And when Ned asks why, he says because he started asking questions.
Yeah.
And that's where we left off. And so this week we pick up with Tyrion 4. When last we left Tyrion, Catelyn had him at sword point, and took him at the inn at the crossroads.
Yes.
She had made her choice, and so now we pick up with the fallout of that, and Tyrion is currently standing in the pre-dawn chill, watching Chiggin butcher his horse.
Yes, so Chiggin is one of the men that was called to arms by Lady Catelyn.
Yes, and Tyrion's quite upset about this, but he thinks it's just one more debt he can chalk up for the Starks, because they are just fucking up right now, royally. And the butchering had to be done quickly, or the shadow cats in the area would get to them.
They'd smell the blood. Running. When up comes our new friend. Bronn. And
hello, Bronn.
Hey, buddy. And so the first thing we get out of him is that nobody's going hungry tonight.
Yeah, no. He was described as a near shadow himself. Bone thin and bone hard, with black eyes and black hair and a stubble of a beard. I really enjoy that he was a near shadow himself. After just getting mention of shadow cats, that he's sort of lithe on his feet. And quick. And so we immediately get a pretty clear picture of Bronn. And Tyrion says that he's not fond of horse meat, especially his own horse.
Yeah.
But Bronn says that meat is meat, and that the Dothraki prefer horse meat.
Now, see, we also, because I was like, God damn, they're pretty savage that they're hungry, so they're eating his horse first. We later find out that the horse collapsed, like the horse couldn't go on any further.
Yeah, they had been riding pretty hard.
Yeah, and so we do learn, I think it's after towards the end of the chapter that they're talking, and you find that out, but
Tyrion doesn't really like the Dothraki comment, and he says that the Dothraki did indeed eat horse, but they also left deformed children for the feral dogs who ran behind their Khalasar. So the Dothraki customs and traditions don't really have any appeal to Tyrion. Thanks, I'll skip the fucking horse meat, bro. And so Chiggin holds up a strip of this meat and asks if he wants a taste, and then eats it just raw.
Raw meat.
And this is when Tyrion just deadpan goes, my brother Jamie gave me that horse for my 23rd name day. And like that's just it, and I love that.
Yeah.
And then Chicken responds by saying, "Thank him for us if you ever see him again." Which is, I mean, they're just so good with this back and forth. And he grins, and that's when he eats the meat, and it's gross. And he says that it tastes well bred. And Tyrion walks away, thinking how the cold had settled in his thighs, and every movement hurt, and he was aching from the long ride. And he starts to ponder if his dead horse is the lucky one.
Yeah, because he's thinking about how he's feeling right now, and that he's going to be feeling that way for a long time. He's going to be traveling
hours
for a long
of riding
time
ahead of him, followed by little food and a short cold sleep on the hard ground, and then another day of riding ahead of that.
So when he's thinking about that, he kind of starts circling around back to the day he was captured.
Because he starts to mutter, damn her, and all the Starks. And he's getting pissed at his captors.
Yeah.
And this is when we get the description that the memory is still bitter in his mind. 1 second, he's ordering dinner, about to go chill with Yoren and enjoy their new room that the free rider gave up. And the next second, he's facing a room full of armed men. And Jack had started reaching for his sword, but Tyrion hurriedly fucking put a stop to that, wrenching his arm down so that they weren't going to get hacked to pieces.
Yeah, Tyrion had the presence of mind to realize that there's a lot more people right now.
They were not fighting their way out of there. No way in hell. And he told her, "You're making a mistake, Lady Stark. I had no part in the attack on your son. On my honor."
And she says, Lannister's honor. On Lannister's honor.
Yeah, and that's all she says. And she holds up her hands for all the room to see the scars from the night that Bran was almost killed. And she says, "His dagger left these scars, the blade he sent to open my son's throat."
Right.
She's once again appealing to this.
Yeah, this is stuff that we caught right at the tail end of her chapter there.
And it said that Tyrion could feel the anger in the room, hot and heavy around him like the smoke. And
yeah, they get savage
it
quick.
gets fed by the cuts in the Stark woman's hand. She's playing this crowd perfectly. And someone hisses out, "Kill him!" Just immediately. And other voices take up the call. And Tyrion says that it was quicker than he would have believed. That all of a sudden they're calling for his head right here and now.
Right, so immediately, to avoid bloodshed, he's like, I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fight my way out of here. You've got me.
Yeah, if Lady Stark accuses me of some crime, I will obviously go and face trial to see, to answer for it, whatever crime she is claiming. And he thinks to himself that it's the only option as they would trying to cut their way out.
Right, because, he starts looking around at the numbers and seeing that he's got himself, Jick, and his other guy there. And Yoren's with them, but he's Night's Watch. He's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And so that's it. He even steps aside immediately as they come up to come up and...
Roderick says, "Take their swords."
Yeah.
And so this is when the sellsword Bronn steps up and pulls Jack's sword from him.
So I do like the way that he wrote that he takes it from the fingers of Jack, just because he was just talking about fingering his hilt as they're coming over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that Bronn steps up and collects the stuff.
So the tension kind of subsides a bit when the weapons are taken away, and this is when Tyrion also recognizes Sir Roderick, even without his whiskers.
Yes.
And the fat innkeep is begging, don't kill him here, please, not here, not here. And Tyrion says, "Don't kill him anywhere." And Catelyn says that we are taking him back to Winterfell. And this is when Tyrion really takes in the room, and it says that he's not displeased. And he thinks to himself, the Stark woman had been clever. Force them to publicly confirm their oaths to her father, and then call on them for succor, and her a woman. Yes, that was sweet. So he's thinking about... He's going through, logistically, how she...
Which is really...
gain control
when you think about
of this
it,
room.
because he's getting duped here. And when you think about that, he is being so meticulous in his thought process during this time. He's very confident that he's got the way of it. He's going to be all right. If they start heading to Winterfell, the riders will get him. He's going to be okay. And that's going to come back into play.
Yeah, but he notices as well that there were close to 50 men in the room, but Catelyn's plea had roused a bare dozen.
Yeah.
The others looked confused, frightened, or sullen. and it says that he might have smiled if he dared. He's starting to realize that not everybody is this valiant knight that's going to stand for him. There are witnesses. There are people who don't want to be involved in assisting in this.
Right.
And so Winterfell it is, he says, and
gotcha.
It was a long ride, and Tyrion knew that from having just come that way.
And so he shouts out that his father will pay handsomely, like, if somebody happened to deliver the news.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He's just throwing that out there, that little hook to just sort of guarantee, because word's obviously going to spread anyway, and he thinks that as well, but just...
Yeah, and
that extra incentive.
He even thinks, though, that he knows that his father's not going to pay.
Nah.
But that he will.
If he
He's
gets
like,
free,
if I
he'll
get free
make up
because of
for
it, I'll pay you.
Yeah. And this is when Sir Roderick starts to look worried and says his men come with him and will thank the rest of you to stay quiet about what you've seen here.
No, not going to happen, Roderick. And
excuse me.
Yeah.
It says it's all Tyrion can do not to laugh at the old fool. Like, not going to happen. Word will begin to spread, and this is what
This is the crossroads.
Yeah, word would begin to spread the instant they were gone. Yoren would carry the story south with him. The fool singer might tell it. Lord Frey's men would report back to Lord Frey himself, and God only knew what he might do.
Right.
And this is when we get sort of our first look at Lord Walder Frey.
Yeah,
of the twins.
because we know that he's a shitty dude.
Yeah, and it says that Lord Walder Frey may be sworn to River Run, but he was a cautious man who lived long by making certain that he was always on the winning side. And so that Tyrion's basically thinking that, yeah, he's cautious, but he knows Tywin is in power.
He's the one that would write down to King's Landing and be like, hey, is Catelyn Stark supposed to have Tyrion Lannister?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's not. Oops, I wasn't supposed to tell you. Oh, my bad.
But he's it had said that Catelyn Lannister. Oh, Jesus,
Catelyn Lannister. So Catelyn Stark decides it's time to leave. She's ready to go.
Yeah, Catelyn wastes no time, Tyrion thinks, and she says, we ride at once, and we'll need fresh mounts and provisions. And you men have the eternal gratitude of House Stark if any of you choose to help us guard our captives and get them safe to Winterfell. You shall be handsomely rewarded. And that was all it took. Yeah, the fools came rushing forward, Tyrion thinks, and he studies their faces, for they would indeed be rewarded, he vowed, but perhaps not quite in the way they imagined. So Tyrion is also planning on having something to say with all these gentlemen who are assisting in this.
And so he mentions that, his riders, they'll catch them and set them free, but somebody should go and tell the people or go tell Tywin, if not, what am I saying? So the lords and stuff that they're passing will see him, and they may be willing to write to Tywin to let him know. And so he's assuming that these houses along the road to Winterfell, somebody's going to stop.
Yeah, that's what he had. He was implying when he thought that it was a long road to Winterfell, that he had just ridden that down this way, and so going back up, he would know. A lot can happen between here and there. Yeah. It is a long journey to Winterfell. And so it says that even as they bundled him outside, saddled the horses in the rain, and tied his hands with a length of rope, Tyrion really isn't afraid. And this is when he confidently thinks that they would never get him to Winterfell. Because, the riders would ride within the day, the ravens will fly, and someone will want to curry favor with his father and lend a hand. And so he gets a hood pull over his head, and he's lifted up into the saddle, and they set out at a hard gallop.
And now, if you remember, Catelyn at that time had stopped at the inn to get out of the storm. Mm-hmm. They'd been, soaking wet, her and Roderick. And so it's pouring still.
Yeah,
it's
storm hasn't
still
passed.
Raining and pouring. And so he's not having a good time. He can't see. He can't hear. The hood's keeping it muffled.
Poor little legs get sore quick. He's a big old toothpick. Toothpick. He's a toothpick. He's a big old toothache. He's miserable all over. And it said that even when they were away from the inn and Catelyn slowed them to a trot, it was still just horrible. And being blind put him in danger of always falling off his horse because he's got this bag over his head. And the rain made the hood cling to him, basically waterboarding the shit out of him and making breathing difficult as this wet hood is just
and like the whole time he's sitting there thinking about how he was that close to just going up and chilling with Yoren. Eating that dinner, like you said.
I think it's interesting who he blames here, though. He says, if not for that
fucking,
wretched singer who had to open his fucking mouth.
Well, it's because Catelyn didn't want to start any shit
Catelyn
either.
She
would have ignored him, let him go to sleep,
yeah.
and then she would have left as soon as he went up those stairs.
But it was the singer got Tyrion's attention, and that's when Tyrion noticed her, and she was forced to act. Yeah, it was these dominoes. It's amazing writing. I love it so much. But it said that the singer had chosen to ride with them, saying that there was a story here and a song to be made from this tale. And grand adventure, yada, yada, yada. And Tyrion wonders if he's still going to feel that way when the Lannister riders catch up to him. Tyrion is, I love how malicious he's being as well in a
confident
low-key
way
as well, like where he's straight up planning like these people's deaths because fuck them all.
He's so confident that he's smarter than them. And so then after a time he hears Lady Stark call for a dismount.
Yeah, dawn had come when Cat gave that command, so they were riding all through the night.
Hard.
And Tyrion's yanked down, untied, and unhooded, and he looks around at the hills, and all hope goes out of him.
Bam! Little finger slam. That's it.
Well, it's Catelyn.
I know, but she's working for Peter Baelish basically at this point.
Whoa.
Damn.
Shots fired, Catelyn.
Boop.
Yeah, they are not on the King's Road to Winterfell. They are in a sort of ravine type mountainous, craggly area.
Yeah, he notices that they are on the Eastern Road.
And he says, you said we were riding for Winterfell. It says he accuses Catelyn.
Yes, and I love how she says yes. Often and loudly.
With a faint smile.
Yep.
And she says, no doubt your friends will head that way when they come after you, and I wish them Godspeed. And
he is fucking pissed.
Yeah, it says, even days later, the memory still filled him with a bitter rage. All his fucking life, he prided himself on his cunning. The only gifts the gods saw fit to give him. And this 7 times damned she-wolf had outwitted him at every turn. Catelyn, like, damn
so
girl,
good.
I love it. Yeah, this is such a good hoodwink. Like,
got him.
Often and loudly. It's absolutely, it makes perfect sense. Announce where you want people to think you're going.
When you go back, you listen to the beginning when he's describing it, like. She does. She's like, who will help me take the traitor to Winterfell?
To Winterfell,
to Winterfell. And, like, yeah.
Along the King's Road to Winterfell, to Winterfell, to Winterfell. Along the King's Road to Winterfell. Winterfell we go. So, yeah, Tyrion's having a really rough time of it. And it said that they had stopped only long enough to feed and water the horses, and then they set off again. This time, no hood for Tyrion.
Who cares? He knows where they are now.
After the second night, they no longer bound his hands, and once they got up high into the mountains, they barely guarded him at all. And Tyrion thinks that, why should they? Where is he really going to go?
Right.
Because the Shadow Cats or the Mountain Clans are going to find him, or his low provisions would cause him to starve or die of thirst? Is there a...
Dehydration?
Dehydration? Sure. That one, I guess. But, yeah, so he's really fucked. He has to stick with them now because he has no choice. Going off unprotected into these hills is suicide. And so Catelyn is driving them forward. Tyrion knows now where they are going. To House Harren.
To the Eyrie.
The Eyrie. Catelyn's sister, Lysa, and Tyrion thinks as well, no friend of Lannisters.
Yeah, he had met her a few times back when she was at court with Jon Arryn, and
they never had great interactions. But they're resting by a stream, and Sir Willis Woad is telling Catelyn that they need to take some time to rest, and Sir Roderick agrees.
Yeah, because if they don't, then they're going to keep riding the horses, and then there's going to be more, and then there's going to be more strain on the horses they do have, and all this bad shit's going.
It's just going to chain. But Catelyn says that they will lose more if the Lannisters catch them. And Tyrion speaks up and says, small chance of that here. Like, you kind of fucking played us, and yeah, that's where they'll be heading, to Winterfell, not up here. And this is when one of the men says, it's a lady, did not ask your views, dwarf. Yeah. And this is Curlicat.
Curlicat.
And it was a Bracken's man-at-arms who answered Catelyn's call. And Tyrion, it said, had made an effort to learn all their names so that he might pay them back later. But Catelyn commands, let him speak. I want to hear what he has to say. And so Tyrion sits himself down on a rock and prepares himself to do what he does best.
So I wanted to mention that when he was saying about committing all their names to memory, that he was especially looking forward to repaying Marillion for his services.
Who doesn't want to punch that singer right in the face?
Yeah, so that's when Tyrion really gets into why they don't have to worry about anything.
By now our pursuit is racing across the neck, chasing your lie up the King's Road. If there is a pursuit. No doubt word has reached my father, but he does not love me overmuch, and I'm not sure he will bother himself. So, it says that this was only a half lie. Tyrion Lannister cared not at all for his deformed son, but he ain't gonna suffer a slight on the house honor.
Yeah, it's...
And that's exactly it. That's Tywin in a nutshell. He doesn't give a shit about Tyrion. It's the fact that she took a Lannister.
Exactly.
And so... he has the right of it. Tywin probably will immediately send men out. I mean, we know that he goes to war to get Tyrion back. Essentially, this is the start of it, but it's only because of
he's a Lannister.
Slight. It has nothing to do with Tyrion himself. And so he says that you risk losing me going this quick.
Yeah, because I'm too weak.
Pace.
I'm too small.
I'm small and not strong, and if I die, what's the point? And she's savage.
Yeah.
It may be said that your death is the point, Lannister.
Is.
But Tyrion is...
he calls it on this, too. He's like, no, because you could have had me killed at any point by any one of these guys.
And they would have done it happily.
Like, they're ready to do it now still.
And she says that the Starks do not murder men in their beds. And Tyrion sort of pleads at this point. Nor do I. Like, I had no part in the attempt on your son's life. Like,
fuck,
that's
man.
the point I'm trying to get across to you here, woman. And she says that he was armed with your dagger.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm a smart man. Why would I give this common thief, kill guy,
cutthroat,
my own personal dagger? Like, really?
And for a moment, just a tiny moment, there's a flicker of doubt. And... she asks, but why would Peter lie to me?
Yeah.
And Tyrion says, why does a bear shit in the woods? It's in his nature. Lying comes as easy as breathing to a man like Littlefinger. You of all people ought to know.
Yeah.
And she steps towards him.
She's like, the fuck?
Yeah.
The fuck did you just say?
What the fuck that mean, Lannister? She just asked, what does that mean,
And so
Lannister,
he gets pretty raunchy here. Like, he gets really mouthy with how he's saying this, and technically... he's not the one that's at fault. He's just making her aware of the rumor that Peter Baelish has been saying that he took her virginity.
Yeah, he took her maidenhead, and Catelyn immediately says that's a lie. Marillion immediately shouts out, wicked little imp. Kirklet draws his dirk and says, at your word, my lady, I'll toss his lying tongue at your feet. And Catelyn is staring him down with a coldness on her face that he has not seen before. And this is the interesting part. And it says, Peter Baelish loved me once. He was only a boy. His passion was a tragedy for all of us, but it was real, pure, and nothing to mock. He wanted my hand. That is the truth of the matter. You are an evil man, Lannister. So, we get an interesting thing of Peter Baelish here, but this line, his passion was a tragedy for all of us.
Yeah.
That's the tansy.
Oh, yeah.
That's the, Catelyn,
she knows.
And she did it with Peter Baelish when she asked him if Varys knows everything. Like, right. This is, and like, alright, because I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been waiting to get to this point. Any motherfucker who doubts Ned about keeping the lie about Jon Snow from Catelyn, this is why. Like, the tansy shit. She is mentioning it willy-nilly to, like, Littlefinger in King's Landing where the walls have ears. Now she's bringing it up fucking here that his passion was a tragedy for all of us because Lysa had to have a fucking abortion almost unwillingly because her father forced her to, and it was tragic and horrible.
Littlefinger slept with her thinking she was
Littlefinger slept with her thinking it was Cat because she drunkenly got him drunk and went and approached him. And it's... I don't know why, I've never picked up on this much of it dangling in a Game of Thrones. I know it becomes a little more prominent next book, but like I didn't know it was here. And so we just get these so much more of a picture of Littlefinger than I initially thought in the first book of who he truly is, not Littlefinger that we see in King's Landing.
Clever, likable, but
and so,
smarmy.
Tyrion responds with, "You are truly a fool, Lady Stark. Littlefinger only loves Littlefinger, and it was not your hand he boasts of. It's those ripe breasts, that sweet mouth, and the heat between your legs." The heat between your legs, he's calling her a bitch, is essentially what I'm getting. Like a dog, because I know that, like, dog genitalia, and when they're in heat, they tend to give off a lot of heat. And so, like, he's basically comparing her to a dog there as far as what Littlefinger's saying. And it's just such a dig of the knife to say to this lady of the Warden of the North. Like,
well, that's it. Walking around saying, basically, I took that bitch's virginity.
Yeah. And so this is when Kirklet pulls Tyrion's head back and puts his blade right up to his chin. And Tyrion says, "Kill me, and the truth dies with me." And so Catelyn says, "Let him talk." And Tyrion's let go.
And this is where he asks her, like, how is it I came by this dagger that I supposedly have? And she tells him, you won it in a bet against Peter Baelish.
Yeah, during the tourney on Prince Joffrey's name day. And Tyrion says, so when my brother Jaime was unhorsed by the Knight of the Flowers, that's the story, no? And Catelyn says it is. But they were immediately interrupted by a shriek of, "Riders!" Like some fucking Lord of the Rings shit. Here we go.
Riders in the dark.
Bum, 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 bum. The call came from up high. Sir Roderick had sent Laris?
Laris?
I'm going to go with Laris. He sent Laris up the rock face to keep watch on the road. And the Catelyn is actually the first one to react here. She says, Sir Roderick, Sir Willis to horse. Get them all the other mounts behind us. Mohor, guard the prisoners. And
Tyrion's like, arm us.
Yeah,
Give
he
us
jumps
weapons.
up and grabs her arm. Arm us. You will need every sword here. And, excuse me, he can see that she knows he's right. The mountain clans don't give a shit about the great houses and who's fighting with who. They will kill everyone with equal fever.
That's what I wrote, too.
They don't give a shit about houses.
Shit about houses.
Yeah, no, they will kill Stark and Lannister.
Kat hesitates, though, and she doesn't offer them up right away. That's when one of them I can hear them.
Sir Roderick, he calls it out. I hear them. And suddenly everyone is moving, reaching for weapons, trying to get up on their mounts. Laharis comes springing and sliding down the ridge, kicking some rocks, and he lands right in front of Catelyn.
Just out of breath, and tells them basically there's 20, 25 of these riders coming. It's
They must have had watchers out because they know we're here.
Right.
And so Roderick's already mounted, sword in hand, and Mohor is crouched behind a boulder, spear in hand, and he's got a dagger between his teeth. Sir Willis Woad calls out to Marmillion for help with his breastplate, but the singer sat frozen in fear.
Little pansy.
But it's actually Tyrion's man Morrick who bounds over to help out Sir Willis with his breastplate. Tyrion is still pleading with Catelyn, and he says, 3 prisoners and a 4th man guarding us. Those are 4 more swords you could have, and that could be the difference here between life and death. And so she asks for his word that he will lay down his sword when the fighting is done.
Yeah. And I love his response because it's so Tyrion. He says, my word, and then he grins crookedly. Oh, that you have, my lady, on my honor as a Lannister.
And for a moment, he thinks that she's going to spit at him, which I love. And instead, she calls, arm them, and she pulls away from him and just goes away. And Roderick tosses Jack his sword and scabbard, Morrick grabs a bow and quiver, and Bronn rides up to Tyrion and offers him a double-headed axe. And it says that Tyrion had never wielded an axe in his life, and it felt awkward in his hands and heavy and clumsy. And so Bronn goes off to stand beside Chiggin and Sir Roderick, with Sir Willis joining them shortly after. But Tyrion is sort of feeling naked without armor, because he's noticing them all kind of decked out and ready to go. And so he's looking for a rock to hide behind, and he runs to one, and he finds that Marmillion is hiding behind it as well.
And he's like, no. Like, but he
the singer starts to scream, go away, I'm a singer, I want no part of this fight. Yeah. And Tyrion asks him, oh, you've lost your taste for adventure, have you? And then he starts kicking at him until he moves over, which I love.
I like
Tyrion's
that too.
just shitting all over him.
Get out of the fucking way.
And so he does. He slides over, and luckily he does because a heartbeat later, the riders are on them.
Yeah, coming down the hill.
There were no heralds, no banners, no drums or horns, only the twang of the bowstrings as Morrick and Laharis let fly. And it says that the Clansmen thundered out of the dawn, which I love.
Yes.
I love it. And they're all in mismatched armor. Their weapons are fucking all different and just...
Yeah, they're a mess. They're just
it's a ragtag, yeah. And there's a big man at the head in a striped shadow-skin cloak armed with a two-handed greatsword. And he's sort of leading the charge.
Yeah. Roderick's charging forward on their side, and he's got Bronn and Chiggin beside him.
Mm-hmm.
And then... He yells out Winterfell as he's charging forward. Chiggin just kind of battle screams.
Chiggin and Bronn are just shouting battle cries.
Willis Road charges out and he's yelling Harrenhal, just repeating
swinging his Morning Star.
Yeah.
Tyrion gets the urge.
He gets that. He just got that burst of energy because he hears everyone else charging that where he wants to go running out, brandishing his axe over his head, just yelling Casterly Rock. But then the insanity is gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, no.
Which is actually an interesting... and it popped in my head immediately as soon as I read it. There's a part, and it's only in the books. It's when Arya is on the road with the Night's Watch, and they're at the keep, and they get attacked. Yeah. And Arya starts shouting, Winterfell, Winterfell, and gets, like, caught up in it.
Yeah.
Because all the different boys are shouting different places where they come from.
Right,
and so it's this thing, like, which I absolutely would believe is a real thing.
Oh,
sort
absolutely.
of this. You get caught up in it. So, yeah, like, fucking, I'm going to shout my homeland because fuck these guys. But he crouches lower, and he starts to hear the screams of the horses and the crashes of metal on metal.
I love what it says about Bronn here. It says that he cuts through them like a whirlwind.
Yeah. Chiggin and Bronn are having no issues. They're holding their own great. Sir Roderick is trading blows with the big man in the shadowskin cloak.
Yeah.
Jack had vaulted onto a horse and rode bareback into the fray. And so an arrow is suddenly sticking from the big man in the cloak, and Sir Roderick is already fighting someone else. These are pros. They're fighting trained men who know how to wield swords.
As soon as that arrow hit the neck of the leader, Roderick's done with it.
Yeah, he already found another
person to finish off.
Marillion starts shrieking. Marillion starts shrieking as a horse leaps over the rock, and Tyrion...
I put Marillion screams like a bitch.
Yeah. Basically. Tyrion jumps up as the rider turns back around to come riding back
So this
at
is another
them.
one of those great battle scenes, fight things that Martin writes. And I just really like how he gives it the feeling. Because he...
this is intense.
As the horse turns around, the Clansman comes charging back at him. And
with
he swings,
a spiked maul.
Yeah. And so Tyrion swings back and hits the horse full on in the chest with a thunk.
Yeah,
and
angling up into its
angling
throat.
upward into its throat, and he almost gets the hilt knocked out of his grip because the horse goes down.
Yeah.
Ryder's with it going down, and he manages to pull it loose from the horse before it takes him down.
Scramble out of the way. It's messy. It's unclean. It isn't a fucking cool first kill at all.
Yeah,
it's a horse and scrambling.
And so the horse falls down on top of Marillion.
Thank God.
And it also pins the rider's leg under it. And so Tyrion takes advantage of that opportunity, runs in, crit rolls a nat 20, and just clunks this guy in the neck.
Yeah,
just
buries his axe in his neck. And as he's yanking the blade loose, Marillion is crying out for someone to help me. Help!
So just part, like, I always mentioned, I haven't always mentioned it because we just mentioned it for the first time this episode. Sid had given us that article where it mentions Tyrion being villainous.
Yeah.
And right here,
his maliciousness.
Like, he's so malicious.
Marillion is pretty fucked up right now. He's under a horse. I imagine he's in some pain.
About blood.
So he starts to crawl a hand out. Yeah, he's screaming about bleeding, but Tyrion says it's probably the horse.
But he's trying to scramble.
He's crawling it like his broken hand. Not broken hand, but he's just crawling his hand out. And Tyrion puts his heel down on the fingers and feels a satisfying crunch and says, "Close your eyes and pretend you're dead." And then he turns and he leaves. Jesus.
Yeah,
I understand that, like, this dude helped take you prisoner. It's pretty much his
you
fault.
Off and talk shit, got you. But, like,
when Tyrion's blood's boiling, he's a fucking savage.
He's malicious as fuck.
We got a nice little look at Tyrion there. And it says that after that moment, things ran together in the battle for Tyrion. The world had turned to chaos and dust and blood. Tyrion had kept to the fringes of the fight, hacking at horse legs and killing a wounded Clansman and taking his half
Yeah,
helm.
it was a little bit tight, but you know what? He didn't give a shit.
Any protection was better than any
nothing.
protection.
Yeah.
He sees Jack get cut down from behind while fighting a man.
Yeah, and Jack was kind of a dick anyway.
Yeah,
so fuck off.
later Tyrion had stumbled over Curlicat's body. His pig face smashed in with a mace, but Tyrion recognized the dirk and took it.
Yeah, he didn't even recognize him by the face. He basically knew it was him because of his dirk that he had.
Curlicat was the douchebag holding the knife to his throat, so we're not too upset about that.
Nope.
Tyrion hears a woman scream and sees that Catelyn is trapped against the stone face of the mountain with 3 men around her, 1 mounted and 2 on foot. And she was holding a dagger that looked pretty measly compared to these 3 closing in on her.
Yeah, these 3 guys. So he thought, well, let him have the bitch.
Yeah.
And, you're welcome to her.
Yeah.
Have her. Yet somehow he was moving.
And he takes the first man unaware in the back of the knee, splitting flesh and bone like a log.
A wet log.
And he thinks logs that bleed.
Yes.
Which is just dark.
So by then the second one is caught on and he comes charging at Tyrion, swings his sword. Tyrion ducks and dives, dodges,
lashes out with
bobs
his axe.
and weaves. And when he lashes out with the axe, the guy jumps back to avoid it.
Bam!
And Cat Stark comes up and fucking, boom, cuts that guy's throat. Done. I really liked how Martin said this last one, because he flees. He's like, fuck
yeah,
this
there's
shit.
the guy on the horse turns and runs, but...
And, yeah, he says, like...
He suddenly remembers
he had a prior commitment or some
appointment.
Yeah,
an important appointment elsewhere.
And he just takes off.
And he turns tail and runs.
What?
Yeah, Martin is so great with his random lines that he throws in for humor.
And so Tyrion kind of is looking around at the smoke and the dead bodies and the horses and the blood. And then it kind of dawns on him that the fighting stopped.
Yeah.
The battle's over. Like... He didn't even realize, and he looks up, and he's thinking that he'd been battling all day, but
only a couple minutes had passed.
The sun had barely moved in the sky. Like there was nothing, no different. It was that fast.
And so Bronn had asked him later, your first battle, and Tyrion nods, saying, "My father would be so proud."
So I put later on, when Bronn, what did I say? Where's my notes here? I said. Later on, when Bronn was taking the nice, well-oiled leather boots that befits a man serving Tywin Lannister off of Jick's dead body.
That's right. They were he was looting the corpse.
Yeah, and I just really thought that it was interesting because it even notes that they were better than Bronn's boots.
Yeah, because it's Tywin's men.
Tywin's man that was assigned to protect Tyrion.
Yeah.
And he's got these amazing boots, and I just really like that, he's already bettering himself.
Bronn.
Oh, your guard died. I'm taking his fucking boots though.
Yeah.
That's how battles work. These are mine now. So suck it.
But Bronn tells him, "You need a woman now, and there's nothing better than a woman after a fight. Let me tell you what." And Tyrion looks around and looks at Catelyn and says, "I'm willing if she is." And the free riders all burst into laughter.
Yes.
And Tyrion starts laughing himself while thinking,
At the start.
"There's a start."
So he also thought about how his legs were bothering him now, cramping up again, and then realizes they didn't bother me at all. I never even had a single thought about these damn legs during the battle.
Yeah.
And so he thought that was interesting. But I really liked the it's a start line though, with he's building a relationship, which is obviously going to lead to Bronn willing to step up and fight for him in the future. And it's just showing how charismatic he is.
Yeah.
With these
and how quick he
strange
is.
people.
I mean, as soon as they start laughing, he thinks there's an in. He just made headway with these guys who a couple hours ago wanted him dead. So how quickly Tyrion can work this, and it even earlier in the chapter, he goes from riding hooded and bound, and I know that it's sort of not an issue, because he doesn't need to be guarded, but it just sort of shows how his station improves slightly, and we'll see a little bit more
right now,
on here. But so they're all laughing, and Tyrion wanders off and goes and washes the blood off in a stream nearby. And on his way back, he notices how actually kind of pathetic the Clansmen are, just how cheap and not really well together they are. And he says that it was a small wonder that 9 of them had died while they had only lost 3 men, and that was Kirklet, Mohor, and Jack.
Yeah.
And Sir Willis is advising Cat to continue forward with some haste because the Clansmen will come back. Catelyn wants to bury the dead.
Yeah, and then he mentions, well, this isn't digging ground. We can't dig on the mountain. It's all rock. She's like, cool, we'll collect stones, we'll make cairns.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, yo, fuck that. Nah.
Bronn steps up and straight up lays down the hammer of just saying, I'm not wasting time dragging fucking stones, burying dead men. So any who hope to be alive come nightfall should ride with us, because we're piecing the fuck out of here.
Right. And everyone basically is like, yeah. And
even Roderick. Yeah,
and Roderick was fucked up for the most part. I mean, he caught a nice graze to the neck. Yep. Like, he got fucked there. His arm was sliced open. Like, and he's an older guy. Like, yeah, it's some superficial cuts, but they're deep, superficial fucking cuts.
So Catelyn's not happy about it, but she reluctantly agrees, saying, gee, like, gods forgive us. We'll ride at once.
Larys goes walking up to and tells Tyrion, time to give me the dark back now. Like, we're done. And immediately, Cat's like, no. Like,
let him keep it.
He needs to keep them.
And make sure he has his axe back as well. I like that. We may have need of it.
I thought it was funny because I was like, Cat tells him no. And is basically like, in fact, you know what, Harris? Why don't you also go get his axe for him?
Yeah, pick it up and bring it to him.
You know what? Why don't you polish it and sharpen it?
This is all also happening. Laharis approached him while Tyrion is saddling Jack's horse, because Jack had a better horse with an actual fitting saddle. Right. So, and Tyrion says that, you have my thanks, my lady. And she says, save them. I trust you know more than I did before. And she turns and rides off. But Tyrion starts to think about how he started this journey bound and hooded, and decided that this was certainly an improvement.
He was like, fine, you don't have to take my fucking things.
Yeah, so Lady Stark could keep her trust as long as he got to keep his axe.
Yeah.
And so Sir Willis leads them. Bronn took the rear. Catelyn was in the middle with Sir Roderick beside her. And the whole rest of the ride, the singer is tossing dirty looks back at Tyrion.
Yo, I thought this was the funniest shit, because he's, and Tyrion mentions that he's, he does make out a little bit, because he gets this nice striped cloak, but we find out that Marillion has a broken rib.
Several
broken ribs, pardon me. His harp is broken.
His wood harp is broken.
And he has his 4 fingers on his playing hand that are broken.
Yeah.
And supposedly Tyrion is saying, but at least he got that nice cloak out of it.
Yeah, it's the shadow skin cloak from the guy.
Yeah, the striped cloak.
The one that Roderick killed. So Marillion clearly ran out and pilfered that real fucking quick.
Yeah.
Even though he's so injured.
Yeah, so this is my favorite little part
here.
They
start to hear shadow cats behind them.
Yeah, it starts
growling and eating the dead bodies that they left behind, because that's how fucking savage it is up in these mountainous areas. Right. And yeah, Tyrion rides up to...
Yo, I love that. He's heading towards the front. That's his plan.
Yeah, he's going to talk to Cat.
But on his way passing Marillion, he just sits there and he's like, you're a little bitch. You're a fucking bitch. Little bitch.
Craven rhymes with Raven.
Like...
Would be good for a song, wouldn't it?
Like, just talking mad shit as he rides by. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Fucker.
So Tyrion rides up and he comes alongside Roderick and Catelyn, and he says, as I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted.
And I love that he just walks up and picks up exactly where he was at.
There's a flaw in Littlefinger's fable, he says. Whatever you would believe of me, Lady Stark, I promise you, I never bet against my family. And that is where we end this chapter.
Ba-boom, closed.
And that's it. That is the flaw in Littlefinger's plan.
Right.
Is Tyrion would never bet against Jaime. Not in a million fucking years. And, it's just good stuff.
It was a great chapter.
It's just good stuff.
It's really cool. It's the next, because we haven't gotten much combat in the book so far.
Yeah,
we got some in Jon's chapter there with the boys in the training yard. We got a little bit more in the training earlier on. So now we've hit some tournament stuff, but it's very vague. We only got the jousting, not much on the melee. This was, some real fighting.
Tyrion handled some
cool
shit.
His first battle too, not too bad.
He needs a woman.
So do you have an inductee?
Yeah, this one's hard.
It's really hard. I wanted to give it to like 5 people.
Yeah, I actually was tempted to give it to Jack at first, just because That's a pretty shitty, like you're just guard duty. You know what? I am giving it to Jack, because that is shitty. You're just guard dutying for your lord's son, which is like, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially with Tyrion, I'm sure. But then you get captured by an enemy house, apparently, now. And you're taken not to the place that you're told you're taken, but on
you do have to remember that it was Jick's fault because he jumped on the horse bareback and charged in like a fool.
Well, I'm saying the whole situation. They got taken prisoner against their will, taken then
just for being a guardsman,
and then they were taken to the East Road and they got attacked by Clansmen, and so he was trying to fight the best of his ability to keep them all alive, I'm sure. Not out of nobility, but out of saving his own skin, but he died for it, and that's pretty shitty. So, to the worst day of work ever, Jick, whatever your name is.
However,
I induct you to the Brotherhood this week.
I like it.
Who's yours?
After much deliberation, it took me a while.
He just made it up.
I have it written down, fucker. Boom. And this chicken scratch amateur hour notes, motherfucker.
I forgot you edit.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Bronn is getting mine, and I know he's such a badass.
He's a clever motherfucker. Go-to.
And so I've got a few reasons that I did it specifically.
He's badass. He's handsome.
He's badass. Yeah, it's basically up for tearing it up. For keeping himself safe. Number one, he keeps himself in mind because he was obviously. You guys can stay and make graves. I'm fucking dipping.
Yeah.
But the number one reason, motherfucker's getting some new shoes,
new boots.
So yeah, I gotta give it to Bronn. He's
leveling up in the RPG. He knows first thing I'm looting that body.
I need those boots. So to Bronn this week, which is our first chance to have gotten them, I think.
Yeah.
So we got Bronn.
I'm excited for that. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater.
Nah, he's not.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, we're a spoiler.
And naming his little son Tyrion there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Anyway, those are our inductees and our thoughts.
So let us know who you want to induct into this Brotherhood of ours for this chapter. Get us your next chapter inductees. That's going to be Arya 3, 4,
3, 4, 7, 9.
God, why do you put me on the spot like this? We thought we were prepared.
I just closed my notes.
You fool of a took.
Arya 3.
Hey, look at me.
Arya 3, A Game of Thrones.
And it's going to be a fun one.
And then after that, we got Ned
cats.
8.
Ned 8, man.
Just, get us those inductees for those 2 episodes. Let us know what you thought about this one. Let us know what you...
Guys, the chat's been great. It's been a lot of fun. We're learning a bunch of new shit that you guys are bringing to our attention. It's awesome. We really appreciate it. So,
I live off of it.
Hit us up if you can. Leave us a rate and review on the new Apple Podcasts app.
It's me.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. You sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
He's going to be okay, fellas.
I'm good.
So, otherwise...
ladies... Jeez.
You're correct. Oh, my bad.
You're bad.
My bad. So we do have, if you like what you hear and you want to support us, but you also want some great content, we have our Mercy chapter, which is the sample chapter, winter sample chapter.
Mercy.
Up on our Patreon, patreon.com /without manners. You're not helping. You're contributing.
I'm doing fucking great.
Is that what you think
it's
that is?
the end of the episode. I'm tired. I put in a long day today.
Yeah, me too. So hit us up, guys. Gmail is withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com.
Facebook.com/Brotherhood Without.
Brotherhood Podcast.
Brotherhood Podcast. Find us on Facebook by somehow searching for Brotherhood Without Manners.
Twitter @MannersWithout. Instagram @BrotherhoodWithout. Just hit us up, guys. You can even leave comments right on our website page on the episodes, www.brotherhoodwithout.com. So let us know, guys. Hit us up, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Valor Doris.
Peace.